Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Hub. Today's story is one of my favorites.
Marina had planned her escape for 367 days, every single one. Memorized guard rotations down to the second, faked sick calls to map blind spots, studied weather patterns like a meteorologist. She knew that during the storm season, the electrical systems would falter, the cameras would glitch, the guards would seek shelter, but she hadn't planned for her tall, impeccable uniform that somehow remained crisp despite the chaos. Dark hair pulled back in a perfect bun, and those eyes steel gray. Eyes that seemed to see everything, miss nothing. A flashlight beam cutting through the rain right onto Marina's face. Kim shouting over thunder, "Stop now!" Marina froze. Time suspended between heartbeats. The rain hammered against her skin, her muscles coiled, ready to bolt. But something in Kim's voice, not the harsh command she expected, but something softer, more complex. Then, a crack of lightning split the sky. In that brilliant flash, their eyes met. Marina saw something she couldn't name flicker across Kim's face. Recognition, curiosity, something deeper. A spark between them that had nothing to do with the storm, and Marina ran. She dropped from the fence and bolted into the night, her bare feet splashing through puddles. Behind her, she heard Kim's radio crackle to life, but strangely, no pursuit followed immediately. 6 months later, Marina had built a new life from nothing. New name, Marie Thompson. New identity, quiet bookstore clerk who loved literature and kept to herself. New safe job where she could disappear into stories and forget her past. She'd chosen this small coastal town deliberately, far from the prison, far from her old life, far from anyone who might recognize her. The bell above the door chimes. Marina looks up from her work, and her blood turns to ice until she walked in. Officer Kimberly Williams enters, no longer in uniform but in civilian clothes, dark jeans, a leather jacket, her badge discreetly clipped to her belt. She moves with the same commanding presence, scanning the store with professional thoroughness. Kim holding up Les Miserables, ironically appropriate. Marina's blood ran cold. Her hands trembled as she set down the book she'd been shelving. The Woman from the Storm. The officer who'd caught her but somehow let her escape. Here, in her sanctuary. Marina, forcing a smile. "Can I help you, officer?" The words stuck in her throat like broken glass. Kim leaned on the counter, her movements deliberate and predatory. "Kim, just browsing, Marie." That pause, that look, Marina's pulse hammered against her throat. She knew. Kim's eyes traveled slowly over Marina's face, taking in every detail. The new hair color, the way she held herself differently. But those eyes, those steel gray eyes, saw right through the disguise. Then why wasn't she arresting her? "Marina, is there something specific you're looking for?" "Kim, actually, yes. I'm investigating a case, 3 years old, woman named Marina Sanders. Convicted of embezzlement, escaped during a storm." Marina's knees nearly buckled. Kim continued, "Funny thing is, the more I dig into her case, the more I think she might have been innocent." Their eyes locked. Marina searched Kim's face for any sign of deception, any hint of a trap. But all she saw was sincerity and something else. Something that made her stomach flutter with dangerous possibility. "Marina, that single quote's terrible. If she was innocent..." "Kim, yeah, it is." Kim picked up a copy of The Count of Monte Cristo from the counter. Kim continued, "You know, I've always been fascinated by stories about people who are wrongly imprisoned. The way they survive, the way they reinvent themselves." She placed money on the counter for the book. Kim continued, "I'll be in town for a while. This case has captured my attention." As she turned to leave, she paused at the door. Kim, great bookstore, Marie. I'll definitely be back. Their meetings became regular. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m., always the same table. Always the same careful dance around the truth. Kim would order black coffee. Marina would get a latte. They'd talk about books, music, philosophy. Anything except the obvious. Kim, so what do you think? Did Jean Valjean deserve forgiveness? Marina, he stole bread to feed his sister's children. The system failed him first. Kim, interesting perspective. You sound like you have personal experience with systemic injustice. Under the table, Kim's knee brushed against Marina's. An accident? Marina doubted it. Marina, I just believe in second chances, Kim, even for criminals. Marina, especially for people who've been failed by the system. Kim leaned back, studying Marina's face. Kim, I've been thinking about that case I mentioned, Marina Sanders. Marina's coffee cup rattled against the saucer as she set it down. Kim continued, the more I investigate, the more convinced I become that Detective Morgan, the lead investigator, fabricated evidence. Marina, why would a detective do that? Kim, money, power. Maybe he just needed to close the case, and she was convenient. Kim's hand moved across the table, her fingers barely touching Marina's. Kim continued, I've been building a file, documenting inconsistencies, interviewing witnesses who were never called to testify. Marina, whispering, why are you telling me this? Kim's eyes darkened. Kim, because I think you might be able to help me. Her foot slid up Marina's calf under the table. Kim continued, I think you understand what it's like to be hunted, to have to hide who you really are. Marina's breath caught. Marina, I don't know what you mean. Kim, don't you? Kim's thumb traced circles on Marina's wrist. Kim continued, I've been watching you, Marie, the way you flinch when sirens go by, the way you check the exits when you enter a room, the way you never give anyone your real name. Marina started to pull away, but Kim's grip tightened not. Painful, but firm. Kim, the way you look at me like you're not sure whether to run or ... double quotes Marina. Or what? Kim, or surrender. The word hung between them like a challenge. Marina, what do you want from me? Kim, the truth. Marina, which truth? Kim, all of it. Kim released her hand and stood. Kim, think about it, Marie. Or should I say Marina? She left money on the table and walked away, leaving Marina alone with her thundering heart and the dangerous realization that she didn't want to run anymore. Marina stared at the door for a full minute before opening it. Kim stood in the hallway, soaked from the rain, her hair loose around her shoulders for the first time. She looked younger, more vulnerable, but her eyes held the same intensity. Kim, may I come in? Marina stepped aside wordlessly. Kim enters, taking in the sparse apartment, a few books, minimal furniture, everything ready for a quick escape. She notices the packed bag by the door. Kim, going somewhere? Marina, I should. You know who I am. Kim, I've known since that first day in the bookstore. Marina's composure cracked. Marina, then why haven't you arrested me? Kim moved closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Kim, because you're innocent. Marina, how can you be sure? Kim, because I've spent 3 months investigating Detective Morgan. I know what he did. I know how he framed you. Kim reached into her jacket and pulled out a thick file. Kim continued, falsified evidence, coerced witnesses, suppressed, exonerating testimony. He needed a scapegoat, and you were convenient. Marina sank onto her couch, the weight of 3 years of running suddenly crushing. Marina, even if that's true, I'm still a fugitive. I still escaped. Kim, you defended yourself against a corrupt system. Kim sat beside her, close enough that Marina could smell her perfume, something subtle and expensive. Kim continued, I've been building a case against Morgan, but I need your help, Marina. What kind of help? Kim, I need you to testify. I need you to tell your story, Marina. I can't. If I come forward, Kim, I'll protect you, Marina. How? Kim's hand found hers. Kim, trust me, Marina. Why should I? Kim, because I'm risking my career for you. Because I believe in justice. Because ... Marina. Because what? Kim's free hand cupped Marina's face. Kim, because from the moment I saw you in that storm, I haven't been able to think about anything else. The admission hung in the air between them. Marina, Kim ... quotes Kim. I know this is complicated. I know I'm supposed to arrest you, but I can't. I won't, Marina. What are you saying? Kim, I'm saying that maybe we can find a way to clear your name. Together, Marina searched Kim's face, looking for deception, for the trap she was sure must be there. But all she saw was sincerity and desire, Marina. And if we can't? If Morgan's too powerful? If the system protects him? Kim, then we disappear. Together, Marina. You'd give up everything? Your career? Your life, Kim, for you. Yes. Marina's last defenses crumbled. Marina, why? Kim, because sometimes the law and justice aren't the same thing. And sometimes you have to choose. Marina leaned into Kim's touch. Marina, what if I'm not who you think I am? Kim, you're exactly who I think you are. Strong, brave, innocent. Marina, I'm scared. Kim, so am I. Their lips met in a kiss. That was part desperation, part hope, part surrender. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Kim, stay. Help me bring him down. Marina, and if we lose? Kim, then at least we lose together. Marina nodded, sealing both their fates. For 2 weeks, they worked side by side. Kim would arrive after her regular shifts, and they'd dive into the case files. Marina's insider knowledge of the embezzlement scheme, the real one, not the fabricated version, proved invaluable. Marina, this witness statement doesn't make sense. Sarah Chen says she saw me access the accounts at 3 a.m., but I was at the hospital with my mother that night. Kim, hospital records? Marina, lost in a system upgrade according to Morgan's report. Kim, convenient. Kim sat beside Marina, their shoulders touching as they reviewed documents. Kim, look at this. 3 other witnesses who could have provided alibis, none of them were interviewed. Marina, and the financial records, ... Kim, selectively edited. I found the originals buried in archived files. Marina leaned back, exhausted. Marina, he was thorough. I'll give him that. Kim, not thorough enough. He got sloppy because he thought no one would ever look this closely. Kim's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and frowned. Kim, Morgan's asking about my caseload. He's getting suspicious. Marina, maybe we should slow down. Kim, no, we're close. I can feel it. Kim stood and paced, her cop instincts taking over. Kim, there's something else, something he's hiding. The embezzlement was small scale compared to his other cases. Why risk his career to frame you for it? Marina, maybe it wasn't about the money. Kim, what do you mean? Marina, what if I saw something? What if I knew something that could expose him? Kim stopped pacing. Kim, what did you know? Marina closed her eyes, thinking back. Marina, I was the assistant to the district attorney's office. I had access to case files, budget reports, evidence logs, ... Kim, evidence logs? Marina, I process everything that came through the office, including Morgan's cases. Understanding dawned in Kim's eyes. Kim, you could have discovered his pattern of corruption. Marina, I remember now. A few weeks before I was arrested, I noticed discrepancies in evidence processing, items going missing, testimonies being altered. Kim, did you report it? Marina, I was going to. I was gathering evidence to present to the D. Kim, and Morgan found out. Marina, he must have. The embezzlement charges came out of nowhere. I thought it was a mistake, that it would be cleared up quickly. Kim sat back down, taking Marina's hands. Kim, it was never about the money. It was about silencing you. Marina, so what do we do now? Kim, we prove it, all of it. But even as Kim spoke with confidence, Marina saw the worry in her eyes. They were up against a powerful, corrupt detective with decades of experience covering his tracks. Kim knew she was being watched. Morgan's questions had become more pointed. Her access to certain files had been mysteriously restricted. And twice she'd noticed someone following her home. Detective Morgan Williams, a word. Kim's blood ran cold, but she followed him to his office. Morgan, I hear you've been asking questions about old cases. Kim, just being thorough, sir. Morgan, thorough. I like that, but some cases are better left closed. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. Morgan, the Marina Sanders case, for instance, ancient history. The woman's probably dead by now. Kim, why do you say that? Morgan, 3 years on the run, no resources, no support system. Most fugitives don't last 6 months. Kim kept her expression neutral. Kim, you're probably right. Morgan, I know I am. So why don't you focus on cases that actually matter? Kim, of course, sir. But as Kim left his office, she caught something in Morgan's eyes. Not just suspicion, fear. Scene shifts to that evening. Kim's apartment. She's on the phone with Marina, who's at the bookstore. Kim, he knows. We need to move faster. Marina, voice only. How much time do we have? Kim, not much. I think he's planning something. Marina, maybe I should run. I can be gone by morning. Kim, no, we're so close. One more piece of evidence and we can expose him. Marina, what piece? Kim, the original evidence logs from your case. The ones that show the discrepancies you discovered. Marina, where are they? Kim, Morgan's personal files. In his home office. Marina, Kim, no, that's too dangerous. Kim, it's the only way. Marina, then I'm coming with you. Kim, absolutely not. Marina, try to stop me. They'd been watching the house for 3 hours. Marina had insisted on coming despite Kim's protests. She knew the filing system, she argued. She'd be faster finding the right documents. Really, she couldn't bear the thought of Kim taking this risk alone. Kim whispering, security systems off. He's overconfident, Marina, or it's a trap. Kim, only one way to find out. Kim picked the lock with practiced ease of skill Marina definitely didn't want to examine too closely. They slip inside. The house is eerily quiet. Kim leads with a small flashlight, Marina following close behind. Kim, office is upstairs. Stay close. They crept up the stairs, every creak of the floorboards sounding like gunshots in the silence. Morgan's office, a monument to his career. Awards, commendations, photos with politicians. But Marina's attention was drawn to the filing cabinets. Marina, there, the locked cabinet. Kim went to work on the lock while Marina kept watch. Kim, got it. The cabinet swung open, revealing rows of files. Marina's fingers flew through them, searching for her case. Marina, here, Marina Sanders, case file 20214478, she pulled out a thick folder and began photographing pages with her phone. Marina continued, this is it, the original evidence logs. They show the discrepancies I found. Kim, perfect. What else? Marina, financial records, bank statements. Oh my God, Kim. He's been taking money from evidence seizures for years. Kim, how much, Marina? Hundreds of thousands. Maybe millions. A floorboard creaked behind them. Detective Morgan. Well, well, what do we have here? They spun around to find Morgan in the doorway, fully dressed, gun drawn. Morgan, I had a feeling you'd show up eventually, Williams. Though I admit I didn't. Expect you to bring our fugitive with you. Kim stepped protectively in front of Marina. Kim, Morgan, listen, Morgan. No, you listen. You've been a thorn in my side for months. I tried to redirect you, tried to give you a chance to back off, but you just couldn't leave well enough alone. Marina, because you're corrupt. Morgan, because I'm practical. You think the system works? You think justice happens naturally? Sometimes you have to grease the wheels. Kim, by framing innocent people. Morgan, by eliminating problems. Marina here was about to expose years of work. She had to be neutralized. Marina, so you destroyed my life. Morgan, I did what was necessary. And now I'm going to do it. Again. He raised his gun. Morgan, 2 fugitives broke into my home. I shot them in self-defense. Tragic, but justified. Kim, you won't get away with this. Morgan, I've been getting away with it for 20 years. What's 2 more bodies? But Morgan had made one critical error. He'd underestimated both women. Marina dove left while Kim dove right, and Morgan's shot went wide. Kim rolled behind the desk while Marina grabbed a heavy award from the shelf. Kim, Marina, the window. Marina hurled the award through the window, triggering every motion sensor light in the neighborhood and shattering the silent night. Dogs began barking. Lights flickered on in neighboring houses. Morgan, you stupid bitches. Do you have any idea what you've done? Kim, ended your career. Kim's phone had been recording the entire conversation. Morgan's confession was captured, along with Marina's evidence photos. Morgan, give me that phone. Kim, no. Morgan, I said, give me the goddamn phone. He lunged for Kim, but Marina was faster. She tackled him from behind, sending them both crashing into the filing cabinet. Marina, run. Get out of here. Kim, not without you. But Morgan was bigger and stronger. He threw Marina off and grabbed for his gun. Morgan, you're both dead. Sirens wail in the distance. Someone had called the police. Kim, hear that? It's over, Morgan. Morgan, not yet, it isn't. He raised his gun again, but this time Kim was ready. She tackled him, and they struggled for control of the weapon. Marina, Kim. The gun went off. Silence. Then Kim slowly stood, the gun in. Her hands. Morgan lay unconscious on the floor, blood seeping from a head wound where he'd hit the corner of the desk. Kim, he's alive. But he's done. The sirens grew louder. Red and blue lights flashed through the broken window. Marina, what happens now? Kim, now we tell the truth. All of it, Marina. What if they don't believe us? Kim, they will. We have evidence. We have his confession. We have each other. Kim took Marina's hand as the police cars pulled up outside. Kim, ready? Marina, with you, I'm ready for anything. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Morgan's corruption scandal had exploded across the state. Dozens of cases were being reviewed. Careers were ending. But Marina's case had become the centerpiece, the symbol of everything wrong with the system. Prosecutor, Miss Sanders, can you tell the court about the events leading up to your arrest? Marina had been dreading this moment for months. But with Kim's encouraging smile from the gallery, she found her voice. Marina, I was working as Anne, assistant in the district attorney's office. Part of my job was processing evidence and maintaining case files. Prosecutor, and did you notice anything unusual in Detective Morgan's cases? Marina, yes. Evidence was frequently missing or altered. Financial records didn't match. Witness statements were changed after they were signed. Prosecutor, what did you do with this information? Marina, I began documenting the discrepancies. I was planning to report them to the district attorney. Prosecutor, and then, Marina, I was arrested for embezzlement, charges I had nothing to do with. The defense attorney Morgan's lawyer was relentless. Defense attorney, Miss Sanders, isn't it true that you stole over $50,000 from the district attorney's office? Marina, no, I never stole anything. Defense attorney, isn't it true that you escaped from prison because you were guilty and couldn't face the consequences? Marina, I escaped because I was innocent and the system had failed me. Defense attorney, and isn't it true that you seduced Officer Williams to gain her protection? Kim stood up in the gallery. Kim, objection. That's judge, sit down. Officer Williams, you're out of order. But Marina looked directly at Kim as she answered. Marina, I didn't seduce anyone. Officer Williams investigated my case because she believed in justice. What happened between us personally was separate from that. Defense attorney, but there was a personal relationship, Marina? Yes. Defense attorney, which compromised Officer Williams' judgment? Marina, which gave her the motivation to seek the truth. When Kim took the stand, her testimony was devastating. Kim, I found evidence that Detective Morgan had been corrupt for years. He falsified evidence, coerced witnesses, and took money from evidence seizures. Prosecutor, and Ms. Sanders' case? Kim was a clear example of his corruption. She was framed to prevent her from exposing his crimes. Defense attorney, Officer Williams, isn't it true that you've been romantically involved with the defendant, Kim? Yes. Defense attorney, and this relationship began while she was a fugitive? Kim, my investigation into her case began because I believed she was innocent. The relationship developed as I got to know her. Defense attorney, so you compromised an active investigation for personal reasons? Kim, I followed the evidence. Wherever it led. In this case, it led to Detective Morgan's corruption and Miss Sanders' innocence. The prosecution played the recording of Morgan's confession. The courtroom was silent as his voice filled the room, admitting to framing Marina and threatening to kill both women. Morgan, on recording, I did what was necessary. Marina here was about to expose years of work. She had to be neutralized. When the recording ended, you could hear a pin drop. Prosecutor, no further questions. Marina had been free on bail during the trial, but the possibility of returning to prison or worse hung over everything. Judge, has the jury reached a verdict? Jury foreman, we have, Your Honor. Judge, on the charge of embezzlement, how do you find? Jury foreman, not guilty. Judge, on the charge of escape from lawful custody, how do you find? Jury foreman, not guilty by reason of wrongful conviction. Marina collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Kim pushed through the crowd to reach her. Judge, Miss Sanders, you are hereby exonerated of all charges. The court apologizes for the miscarriage of justice you have suffered. But the judge wasn't finished. Judge, furthermore, this court recommends that the State Attorney General's office pursue criminal charges against Detective Morgan for corruption, perjury, and violation of civil rights. The courtroom erupted in applause. Marina stood on shaky legs as Kim reached her. Kim, it's over. You're free. Marina, we did it. Kim, no, you did it. You were brave enough to fight. They held each other as cameras flashed and reporters shouted questions. Marina, what happens now? Kim, now we get to find out what normal feels like. Marina, I'm not sure I remember how to be normal. Kim, then we'll figure it out together. Normal, it turned out, was harder than either of them expected. Marina had nightmares. Kim had guilt over her department's corruption. They both had. trust issues and trauma to work through. But they had each other. Marina, the state offered me a settlement for the wrongful conviction. Kim, how much? Marina, enough to never work again if I don't want to. Kim, and do you want to? Marina was quiet for a moment. Marina, I want to go to law school. I want to help other people who've been failed by the system. Kim, that's a wonderful idea. Marina, what about you? Any regrets about leaving the force? Kim had resigned after the trial, unable to continue working in a system she'd lost faith in. Kim, none. I'm thinking about private investigation. Help people the police won't help. Marina, we could work together. Lau, you're an investigator. Kim, I like the sound of that. Kim moved closer on the couch, taking Marina's hand. Kim, I have something for you. Marina, what? Kim pulled out a small box. Kim, I know we haven't talked about the future much. And I know we're both still figuring out who we are after everything that happened. Marina, Kim, but I know I want to figure it out with you. If you'll have me. Marina opened the box to find a simple silver ring. Marina, it's beautiful. Kim, marry me, Marina. Not because we've been through hell together, but because I can't imagine my life without you. Marina, yes. Kim, yes. Marina, yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I want to build a life with you. Yes to all of it. They kissed, soft and sweet and full of promise. Marina, I love you. Kim, I love you too. Marina, even though I'm a former fugitive. Kim, especially because you're a former fugitive. You're the strongest person I know. Marina, strong enough to start over. Kim, strong enough for anything. They'd been married for a month. A small ceremony, just a few friends and Marina's mother, who'd cried for an hour when she learned her daughter was alive and free. Tonight was their first real celebration. Just the two of them, no wires, no reporters. No reminders of the past. Marina, do you ever think about that night in the storm? Kim, every day. Marina, do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd arrested me? Kim, you'd have been sent back to prison. Morgan would still be free, and I'd never have known what I was missing. The band began playing The Way You Look Tonight. Kim, dance with me. Marina, here. Kim, here. They moved to the small dance floor, Kim's arms around Marina's waist, Marina's hands on Kim's shoulders. Marina, I never thought I'd have this. A normal life. Someone who loves me. A future. Kim, this isn't normal. This is extraordinary. Marina, why, Kim? Because we chose each other. Despite everything. Despite the odds. They swayed slowly, lost in each other and the music. Marina, I have something to tell you. Kim, what? Marina, I got accepted to law school. Kim, Marina, that's incredible. Marina, and I want to specialize in criminal defense. Help people like me. Kim, people like us. Marina, us. Kim, people who've been failed by the system but refused to give up. The song ended, but they kept dancing. Marina, I'm scared. Kim, of law school. Marina, of being happy. Of having something to lose again. Kim stopped dancing and cupped Marina's face. Kim, hey, look at me. Marina met her eyes. Kim, we've already lost everything once, and we survived. We found each other. We built something beautiful. Marina, but what if, Kim, no what ifs. We're here. We're alive. Where? In love. That's enough. Marina, is it, Kim? It's everything. They kissed, soft and slow, as the band transitioned into a sultry blues number. Marina, take me home. Kim, our home. Marina, our home. Marina had always played piano. Even in prison, she'd practice. On imaginary keys, keeping the music alive in her mind. It was one of the things that had kept her sane. Kim, new song. Marina, something I've been working on. It's called Storm's End. Kim, play it for me. Marina's fingers moved across the keys, the melody both melancholy and hopeful. Marina, singing softly, lightning struck twice that night, once to break the walls, once to break my heart open, to let the light fall in. Kim moved closer, mesmerized. Marina continued, I was running from the storm, but the storm was bringing you, and now I know that sometimes you have to be lost, to be found, Bill Cates. Kim, that's beautiful. Marina, it's our story. Kim, play it again. But instead of playing, Marina stood and moved to Kim. Marina, I want to show you something else. Kim, what? Marina took Kim's hand and led her to the bedroom. The bedroom is softly lit, intimate. Marina turns to face Kim. Marina, for 3 years I lived in fear. Fear of being caught, fear of being sent back, fear of never having a real life. Kim, and now? Marina, now I'm not afraid anymore. Marina slowly unbuttoned Kim's shirt. Marina, you know what I realized? Kim, what? Marina, you never really captured me. I surrendered. Kim, when? Marina, that first night in the storm. When you looked at me and saw more than just a fugitive. Kim's shirt fell to the floor. Kim, and what did I see? Marina, a woman worth saving. Kim, you saved yourself. Marina, we saved each other. Kim's hands found the zipper of Marina's dress. Kim, you know what I realized? Marina, tell me. Kim, I wasn't hunting you. I was looking for you. Marina, what's the difference? Kim, when you hunt someone, you want to capture them. When you look for someone, you want to find them. The dress pulled at Marina's feet. Marina, and did you find me? Kim, I found everything I didn't know I was looking for. They moved together, skin against skin, hearts beating in sync. Marina, I love you. Kim, I love you too. Marina, show me. Kim, always. Marina, graduated summa cum laude, top of her class, editor of the Law Review. Already had job offers from 3 different firms, but she'd already decided what she wanted to do. Later, at the graduation party, Marina and Kim stand together, surrounded by friends and family. Marina's mother, I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Marina, thank you, Mom. Marina's mother. And Kim, thank you for believing in her when no one else would. Kim, she never needed saving. She just needed someone to see who she really was. Marina, actually, I have an announcement. The room quieted. Marina, Kim and I are opening our own practice. Sanders and Williams Investigations and Legal Services. Kim, we're going to help people who've been failed by the system. Marina, people like I was, people who need someone to believe in them. The room erupted in applause. Friend, what's your first case? Marina, actually, we have several. Other people who were framed by Detective Morgan. People whose cases were dismissed because of his corruption. Kim, it's going to be a long road. Marina, but we're not running anymore. We're fighting. The party continues around them, but Marina and Kim step outside for a moment of quiet. Kim, any regrets? Marina, about what? Kim, everything. The escape, the trial, us. Marina, none. You, Kim, none. Except maybe one. Marina, what? Kim, I wish I'd found you sooner. Marina, we found each other exactly when we were supposed to. Kim, how? Do you know? Marina, because we were both ready to fight for something real. They looked up at the stars, the same stars that had watched over them through the storm, through the trial, through everything. Marina, promise me something. Kim, anything. Marina, promise me we'll always fight for each other, no matter what. Kim, I promise. Marina, And promise me we'll help others fight for themselves. Kim, I promise that too. Marina, then I'm ready for whatever comes next. Kim, together? Marina, always together. Marina had successfully defended dozens of clients. People who'd been failed by the system, people who'd been forgotten, people who'd been given up on. She never lost sight of what it felt like to be powerless. Marina, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client stands before you not as a criminal, but as a victim of corruption. Just as I once stood accused of crimes I didn't commit. Marina, the system isn't perfect. Sometimes it fails. Sometimes it hurts innocent people, but that's why we're here. To make sure that when it fails, there are people willing to fight back. Marina, to make sure that justice isn't just a word, but a promise we keep to each other. The jury deliberates for less than an hour, not guilty on all charges. Later, outside the courthouse, Marina and Kim walk hand in hand. Kim, another victory. Marina, another life saved. Kim, you know what I love about you? Marina, what? Kim, you never forgot where you came from. You could have disappeared after the trial, lived quietly, never looked back. Marina, but then I wouldn't be me. Kim, no, you wouldn't. They stopped walking, facing each other on the courthouse steps. Marina, do you ever think about that night in the storm? Kim, every day. Marina, what do you think about? Kim, I think about how lightning struck twice that night. Once to break you free, and once to bring you to me. Marina, and now? Kim, now I think about how some storms don't destroy, they cleanse, they make room for new growth. Marina, is that what we are, new growth? Kim, we're proof that sometimes the most beautiful things come from the most unexpected places. Marina laughed, the sound bright and free. Marina, I love you, Officer Williams. Kim, I love you too, Counselor Sanders. Marina, ready to go home, Kim, with you? I'm always ready. They walked on the courthouse steps together, the storm that had brought them together now just a memory, but the love it had sparked burned as bright as ever. Marina, you know what the best part is? Kim, what's that? Marina, no more running, no more hiding, no more fear. Kim, just us. Marina, just us.